Welcome you all. We are here to discuss about a new module named as thin cylinders and spheres. Now to discuss about the thin cylinders and spheres, categorically I am dividing this all. That means the name suggests this is thin. So what is thin and why we are calling it thin? It's a relative term and how we are defining this thin or thickness. That means when I am saying thin, I am talking about the based on the thickness of the structure or structural component. Then what is cylinder and what is sphere? I think most of us we know what is cylinder, what is sphere. When I am saying, you can see I am just showing a marker here. It's looking like if you have seen this part also a cylinder, or it's looking at one kind of cylindrical shape. This is also cylindrical shape, or you can, if I'll take another case, let's say it's, you can see here I am showing one, um, this also looking like a cylinder. You can see the cylinder with a flat end, and the cylinder also having a just opening. It's one side is open, other side is closed. So it's a cylindrical panel, or you can say it's a cylindrical cell. The same cylinders can also, you can show this one also, you can say another cylinder. So various the cylinders, when I am saying the cylinders or spheres, if I'll take a cricket ball or a tennis ball, anything, if we'll talk about those are or any plastic ball if we'll take, so they are shape of the, these all kind of shapes. So these shapes basically talks about, or these shapes, how it is important to know about these kind of cylinders, or what is the utilization in a mechanical engineering of these cylinders, and why we need to discuss about this cylinder. This all these points has to be discussed under these thin cylinders and spheres. Now, in order to define their utilization, their application, based on their, when there is a application in mechanical engineering, we must understand their basic basic parameters, or basic design parameters, or basic design constants has to be understand, or has to be understood. Before understanding that, we must know what are the parameters. And one of the parameters, as I told it specifically, it's thin. So what is the thin or thickness, like that if I'll talk about, you can see there is a thickness of this side. This is made up of a steel plate or sheet. Out of a thin sheet it has been made. So a cup shape, you can say it's a cup shape, and it is used in a either it can be utilized as a bottle stopper of a bottle, the top stopper of the bottle. This is also the similar kind of structure. You can see the structural point, if you see the geometry is not fully it is cylinder in nature, rather a hexagonal or octagonal kind of structure is out of this. If you see the cross section, and if I take the projection of this and projection of this, so projection of this, the steel one on my left hand, it is showing a exactly a circular kind. However, this is not exactly circular. If you see the view of this, however, if I take this one, also the similar kind, the end of this, it's a another circle, or you can say this is made up of a, or it is looking like a cylinder. Now, if I'll take a paper instead of a metallic sheet, if I'll take a paper sheet, and if I'll roll it, and I can make another cylindrical shape, you can see the thickness of the cylindrical shape, or this face sheet, or this sheet, the paper sheet having some thickness. It is we normally say that this is a very thin sheet. So if the cylinder or the cell panel, it is also can be defined, the thickness and thinness can be defined based on their other parameters, like diameter, corresponding to diameter, corresponding to the length, how much it is length. If it is the you see the thin, this is one thin cylinder, and if I'll make it something in a reverse way also, I can make the same thing in a length manner. Once I did in a width manner, other way I did in a length manner. Also it is another cylinder, I can make it the same cylinder. So which one is thicker and which one is thinner, based on the diameter. In earlier case the diameter was bigger, and this case the diameter is less but the length is high, and based on that they can be called as a thick cylinder or thin cylinder according to their application. What is the application? Basically, in generally the applications you can find in mechanical engineering, chemical engineering, or in most of the cases like water tanks. If I talk about a water tank, a public water tank which has been provided to water to everyone. So all these kind of things you can see in generally. Now to implement, or now to understand what are the basic parameter we need to understand, we need to calculate or evaluate, we'll go step by step. First of all, we'll discuss about their definitions. First of all, we'll discuss about their definitions. So definitions of what is thin and what is thick, and how they have been classified, and what are the kind of classifications of the cell panel or cell structures, and why we need to discuss about that. All these basic 3-4 points will be evaluated, or the basic 3-4 points has to be discussed, or it is what is the design consideration, or all points will be discussed over in this particular video. Now the name suggests, as its name suggests, as I said, this is thin cylinders and spheres. Some of the examples I have shown, some of the examples, the similar kind, the industrial application. When I say the industrial application for the case of storage and all, you can see this is one kind of application, is another kind of, this is a cylindrical cell with closed end, and it's a spherical cell, and basically this kind of application, this kind of structures you can see for the sake for in the industries like chemical industries or oil industries. They utilize this kind of structures, or you can say the boilers, the power plants are utilize the boilers. They are also utilize the similar kind of structure. Here we are not bothered about what kind of fluid it is and what kind of fluid it is going to contain. Rather, we are bothered about what kind of fluid. If there is some fluid, it may be water, it may be some chemical, or it may be some inflammable gases, some kind of inflammable liquid may be there. But how much pressure it creates? Basically, these structures are under some kind of internal pressure. Due to the internal pressure, some of the we know pressure is applied kind of load. If there is a applied load, there is a reactive, or if there is a application of force will be there, a reactive force will generate. Reactive force will generate where? Now on this surface, or inside of the surface, there is some it is under the kind of loading. So it will to equilibrium, to maintain the equilibrium, it will resist that force, and due to the resistance it may create, or it may develop some kind of stresses. So what are the stresses? So how to find out the stresses? Then why the need to find out the stresses? All these points, why, how, first of all what are the stresses, then how to find out the stresses, then how these are the applied to the mechanical engineering, and what is the major points we are looking for. We are going to discuss about that under this thin cylinders and spheres. If I am saying the thin cylinders and sphere, is there any other kind of panels are available, or other kind of structurals are available, and how their classification have been done, and particularly how we define those, or what is the definition. So basically we are going to discuss about the first definition, then their classification, and after the classification we will talk about what are the stresses due to the internal pressure, or due to the creation the internal pressure, which is the only the reason which creates all kind of stresses. Then how to evaluate that, if the what kind of structure we are talking about, and how it will be utilized in the point of application, we can also see, or we are going to discuss over here. And one more case I am showing here, that means the interesting point, I just want to show some of the examples from the household to industrial application. You can see this kind of structure you have in at our home. So it is basically either it is taking water, or it is filled with water, or it can filled with any kind of fluid they are under. In generally they are under static conditions. But one more case, if I'll see, I just want to show you here. This is just the barrel of this pistol, or a armor. Inside that it is also a small cylinders. You can see there are 6 different holes. These holes are looking like, or just, and these are the bullets. They are also looking, or it is almost a cylindrical cells with some hemispherical or trapezoidal kind of end. And this is a open end cylinders, for both side it is open, and it is keeping some kind of bullets over there, and it is under a pressure, and due to the pressure it is going to some spring force created over there to need the necessary action. So here one kind of storage tank has been shown. It can be normally it has been shown the storage tank. This tank can utilize to store water. This tank can utilize to store chemicals or fluids or gases, any kind. And most popular kind of cells we have or we can see in our day to day life. This is a one cylinder I have shown here. You see, interestingly that uh, just remember this part. I'll come to regarding this discussion. That means particularly this part of the cylinders we use. It's a cooking gas cylinders, and this cooking gas cylinder, in every household have the cooking gas cylinder, or most of the people having the same, or some cases you may find they have pipe connection. When there is a pipe connection, pipe is also looking like this kind of both end opened, and it has to be closed by some way, and some regulators are attached the end to those who are having, instead of cooking gas cylinder, they are having pipeline, direct pipeline connection to the their kitchen room. So all this, if you'll see the transportation, it's one kind of means of transportation of the gases or liquids from one point to another. Like water also flows in our every household. We have plastic pipes, and through that pipe we plumber pipe, and in everywhere in the sanitation or all this kind, these are the applications, the household application as well as the industrial application. We are not here thinking about much on the household application, rather we are thinking about these tanks only. These kind of tanks, or these kind of tanks, how these tanks are being designed, and why it has been designed. If you have seen, these are the very slopy in nature. Instead of not straight ends, they have no straight ends like the cylinders we have here. I just now talked about told about, these are the straight flat end, but you can see here these are not flat ends. Why and how, we'll talk about that in our further discussion. First of all, what is the definition of that? Cells are structurally continuous in the sense that they transmit the load in a number of directions. That means it is not in a number of directions, means it can take any direction from one point to other point. There is no specific point has to follow. Cells are basically classified, either it is natural or man-made kind of cells, and we are here to discuss about the man-made type. And mostly these are broad classification of the cell. Also the cells can be classified in other few forms. And what are they? Now, in generally the classifications are based on either their thickness or their geometrical shape. Either their thickness means, just now I talked about regarding this thickness of this. If I'll talk about this thickness, how this thickness is going to be changing. If the thickness is going to change, then how it is going to affect the total internal pressure. And if there is an internal pressure with the same internal pressure of different thickness, may create a different kind of stresses. So either their thickness or according to their geometrical shape in generally, but they are not defined or not classified based on their load bearing capacity. Cells are preferred in engineering due to their stress. You can see, or you, if you have pointed out, I do not know about you people. If you have seen all the monuments, early monuments, or most of the in generally, before going to this, in our day to day life, as I said just now, I talked about a cooking gas cylinder. Similarly, you can see all the most of the old buildings, or you can say early buildings, when there was no concept of beams and columns beforehand, what else the structures has been made, there are all the mostly, you can say, either you go to any religion or any religion related ritual places. If you go either in a temple or in a mosque or in a church, if you go, their structures are looking like this close kind of. these are only not because of their religious belief, rather they are structurally continuous in nature, and they have some other kind, they have their some other belief also. But if I think about the mechanical engineering or structural cells or cell component or cell structure, if you see, they are continuous in nature, and which helps in many other way, as they have their religious belief based on that. But if you'll see only from the structural point of view, there you can also see some kind of similar closed form cell structures due to their rigidity, and they are capable enough to take extra amount of the load. So mostly, and after that, when it changes, the study has been, or the beam or column has been introduced. Before the beam column introduction, the most of the structures follow the similar kind of a close, always there is a close form kind of shape, like egg shape. uh, so based on this, as it is based on the thickness, if I'll classify, or the classifications are like this: one is thin cylinder and another is thick cylinder. I just now, before the starting of the initial conversation, I talked about the D as well as the T. The T is the thickness of the plate. This is the thickness of the plate or sail we are talking about, or the seat which is going to be made, and D is the diameter. If the D by T, the ratio of D by T is greater than equal to 20, then it will be called as thin cylinder, and if it is less than 20, it will be called as the thick cylinder. Similarly, according to the geometry, either hyperbolic cell, elliptical cell, spherical cell, or cylindrical cell. If I want to show you some hyperbolic kind of cell, I can also show you. But beforehand, the spherical, when I am saying a spherical, you just imagine a cricket ball or a tennis ball. It's a whole as a sphere. If I cut it, I can get two different hemispheres. And if I want the whole ball, the spherical ball, if I'll take the or I want to draw the front view, top view, wherever I'll draw, I'll get from the top also I'll get a circle, from the front I'll get a circle. So everywhere I'll get a circle from the, for the case of sphere. Similarly, the elliptical and the spheres are the continuous, most continuous or rigid in nature, because they have equal curvature in all the direction. Now I have shown one cylindrical case. One side is one curvature R1 is equal to R. What is this 1 2 I am talking about? This 1 2 3 are nothing but the principal material direction. I have discussed during the discussion of the stresses initial classes. So the principal material direction may or may not coincide with the coordinate system. In generally, here with the relations which has been shown, based on the 1 2 3, the material direction is coinciding with the Cartesian coordinate system x, y, and z. Now one curvature, it is having one curvature, other curvature is infinite. That means in the lengthwise, if I'll go in one curvature, it is there, another curvature is straight in nature. And if the R1 is equal to, or you can say, if one of the radius is, one is major axis and minor axis, as we took in case of ellipse, so there also you can find the similar kind of behavior, or you can say, you can get basically just the elliptical cell. If the only, if you see all these kind of cells, only the change of relation between their curvatures only, and the curvature factor here helps to classify the cell. One more case, R1 is equal to R and R2 is equal to minus R. That means it is as like as the spherical cell, but one of the curvature is positive, whereas other one is negative. So how it is, one is positive, one is negative? That means in one case it is rising, in other case it is again decreasing. Here if it is rising, then you can see in this case it is falling down likewise. So you can see this kind of hyperbolic structure can be seen in a cooling tower. It's converging and diverging kind. You can see this is, if I'll see from this side, so it is going to converge, then again diverge. Also if I'll see from this side, it is going to converge, again diverge. So this part, if I'll take a portion, it is looking portion from this end. If I'll take a portion from this end, I'll cut a piece and I'll take it out, I can get one is positive, other is negative, if I'll compare these two. Now the similar form, the different shape geometries can be obtained. Now to know about what are the, now we understand what is the definition, then classification. Now we will see what are the stresses are going to be generated and how we are going to evaluate those stresses within the thin cylinders. If the thin cylinder, basic definition of the thin cylinder, that if the ratio between the thickness to the internal diameter, earlier we have taken d by t, that means diameter to thickness, here we have taken thickness to internal diameter. Also you can take the earlier one also. Here you just see, earlier we took d by t, now it is written as, or it is explained as t by d. So d by t is greater than equal to, d by t is greater than equal to 20, we say it's thin cylinder. Now it says t by d is less than equal to 1 by 20, cell is less than about 1 by 20, then we say it's a thin cylinder. The same definition has been turned over here, just a reverse of that. Also some book defined in that this form also, that's why it has been written in this way. So due to a majority of this cell panel, initially I have talked about, this majority of this kind of cylinders or spheres, what else we are talking about, the geometries are under internal fluid pressure, and its experiences different, all the stresses, all the loads which is coming under on their wall due to the internal pressure or internal fluid pressure. The fluid may be either, it may be gas, it may be or it may be liquid, it may be inflammable liquid, it may be a chemical, like a compressor. If you will go to a cycle repair shop or a garage, you will have, or if you want to give the pressure to your cycle wheels of your cycles or wheels of your two wheelers. If you go to that shop or garages, they have their one compressor which stores pressurized fluid or pressurized air. Similarly, these all kind of structures or all kind of geometry or all kind of cells are under internal fluid pressure. The fluid may be anything, either gas or can liquid, and those structural component or those structure, the whole structure may experience, these are the stresses. One is circumferential stress or hoop stress. Circumferential stress means, when initially I have talked about a plane or plane of paper, I turned into the plane of paper, the plane of paper to another cell geometry. So it is the circumference, it is going to create the circumference. Either I can join from here to here, and this is the nothing but the circumference I am going to join here to here. So this is one kind of circumferential joint. So the stress may create, or due to the joining at this point, this line, it may create a circumferential stress. That means if some internal pressure will created over the inside here, so thus it creates some pressure on this wall. So this joint under the stress condition, that is nothing but the circumferential stress or hoop stress. And second one is the longitudinal stress. If it is open, it is okay, but if it is closed at one side, due to the pressure is going to some pressure is going to increase over here, so these ends are also under the longitudinal stress. This side is under the longitudinal stress. So these are the components are going to be generated. And one more is the radial area or radial case. The stresses are going either in this direction along, it is this side is going to under the longitudinal stress, the circumference where they have joined at that point, as well as the internal pressure. The third one is the internal pressure. The circumferential stress or the hoop stress are the most important for the cylindrical panel, because it has the highest value. We will calculate that, how we are calculating, we will discuss about that. So these are the three stresses are going to develop in the kind of cell panel. So in generally, sigma C and sigma L are termed as or taken as tensile, whereas sigma R is the compressive in nature. And for the case of just now I talked about, if I'll take the whole structure or whole cylinders like this, if I'll take out a piece on that, so the directions, in this direction the longitudinal stresses or longitudinal forces will create, or the stresses along this length, either the stresses generate in length or the stresses generate on the circumference, or the stresses may generate on the due to the internal radial direction. So this is the length case. This is a combination of all the cases. This is for the longitudinal part, and this is for the circumferential part, and this is for the radial part. Has been subdivided into three different areas or three different component of the whole pressure. Pressure creates due to the internal pressure. These are the stresses. That's the first one along the length, second one within the or about their circumference, and the third one about their radial direction. For the thin cells, when we are talking about the thin cells d by t or the sigma r we are talking about, or that means the radial direction we are talking about, we are saying that they are thin cells. For the thin cell, it may be assumed that the sigma c and sigma l are constant. This is sigma c along this circumference, or it is sigma c or sigma l are constant along over their thickness. This above their about their thickness, this is not going to, this is the thickness it is throughout that, so they are not varying. So the radial thickness or the the radial stress is negligible for the case of thin cylinder. Now how to evaluate, how to calculate the hoof stress? Now the first point, the circumferential stress. If I want to calculate the circumferential stress, that means when I am joining this this as a the circumference I am going to join here. If I want to calculate the circumferential stress, the circumferential stress into the resisting area on which area it is going to apply is equal to the pressure, the internal pressure which is applying on this, the internal pressure which is applying on this, and the projected area on which area the pressure is going to be applied. For that, consider half of the cylinder length L sectioned through the diametral plane. Here I have shown a cylinder section through the diametral plane rather than transverse direction. We cut on along this diametral plane. I have cut. I can cut in this form. I can cut in this form. Any form I can cut. So along the diametral plane it has been cut into two half. Now the circumferential stress into the resisting area, the circumferential, or to evaluate the same, I have extended little bit more, and on the half of this cylinder you can see these are the radial stresses are coming, or these are the internal pressure is going to be created, and this is the thickness T, and this side is also T. If I take the projection of this, it is looking like this way. So it is a length L, this is the length L, and this is the D, this is length, this is D, and this is length L. And again you have this side T and another side also having small t, or you can say, sorry, you can say this is T, this thickness is T, and this is L, and this is D. So LDT of this cylindrical part of the cylinder we can show from here. Now what is the circumferential stress? Now, sigma c we represent by sigma c into 2t into L. Sigma c into 2t into L. What is the 2t into L? So 2 for this is T and this is L. This is the area on which these two strips on which the circumferential stresses are going to apply. So this is T and this is L. If this is T, so the area is T into L, and this area is 2 into L. So I got this is total. This sigma c is applied on this area, as well as I am just crossing this area, and the sigma c is going to develop on this side, these two sides having the area is TL. TL in both sides, so 2TL has to be equal to the pressure, the internal pressure is going to apply, and the internal pressure under whom? Now internal pressure on the whole area, and that area is D into L in the projected area on the rectangular section. So from here I can calculate the sigma c. Sigma c is equal to PD by 2t. So L will be cancelled. So only 2t will be divided. So PD by 2t. So here you can see P D T. P is the internal pressure. Based on the internal pressure, the sigma c will increase if the P is going to increase, or if the D is going to increase, sigma c is going to increase. If the T is going to increase, the sigma c is going to decrease. So the measure we need a low stress rather than a high stress. That means the capability can be high, but the structure should be under low stress. So we must have to have optimize or think about the T majority. In the majority of the time, we need to think about the plate thickness we are going to make the cell, or it is the important parameter which is inversely proportional to the sigma. Like in I is inversely proportional to the sigma, we always having a tendency to have a better I. Similarly, we must have to have a thought about, because if I increase D, it is not going to fundamentally it is not going to help me, because if I am increasing D, the sigma is directly, or the circumferential stress is going to increase. If I'll decrease the D, then wherever I need a higher volume, I cannot get the higher volume also, because I need to for the storage, or if I need to for the transportation. So what is the maximum volume I need to work on D? D has to be very optimally has to be designed based on the transportation loading and all this kind. But the T is one of the factor which does not make many sense to the whole analysis. However, the T can play the bigger role to control the sigma C. Now similarly, if I'll go for the longitudinal stress, I'll talk about, we have discussed sigma C and sigma L. Now consider a section cut by transversely. Earlier we have taken a diametral plane. Now we took a transverse direction. If I'll cut it that, then transverse longitudinal stress into resisting area, pressure into projected area. Projected area is nothing but a circle, and the resulting area here also the same kind of resulting area. That means it is the whole is D, and or you can say, if I'll take this is like if I'll open it, so this is the length is pi D, this is pi D, and this is T. This is pi D and this is T. If I'll open this strip, if I'll open, so this is nothing but as we took in earlier case D into T. Here it was taken T into L in earlier case, now it is D into T. So for that, so you see sigma L into pi dt. So pi d the circumference of that and the thickness. So L into D I got, and the projected area is the circular area for the pressure applied area. So P into pi by 4 d square. If I equate both, so I can get sigma L is equal to pi dt is the approximated area just now I talked about. So I get sigma L is equal to PD by 40. Sigma C I got PD by 2T, and sigma L is PD by 40 for the case of cylindrical panel, thin cylindrical panel. By neglecting the sigma R, or by neglecting the pressure, internal pressure. Now the maximum stresses, we have two different stress, or two different tensile stress. One is maximum, one is minimum, PD by 2T and PD by 40. So there must be a combination of the stresses are there. So it will create some kind of shear stress as well, or we can calculate the shear stress. How we know? From the basic definition of the principal stresses, the major and minor if I know, then I can directly, or sigma 1 sigma 2 if I know, or sigma max or sigma mean if I know, then I can able to calculate the tau max is equal to half of sigma C into sigma L, or half of sigma 1 minus sigma 2. If I'll put those values, the quantitative value just now I calculated, so I'll get the PD by 80, which is again less than the longitudinal stress as well. So the tau max, the shear stress is going to develop maximum due to the combination of two different tensile stresses, or two different tensile kind of stress. One is on circumference, other is on longitudinal or along the length. Then it can create a shear stress about PD by 80. Now if the P internal pressure is neglected, or we know if the P or the internal pressure neglected for the plane where only sigma C is there and P is there, but P we are neglecting, then how the stress instead of sigma L will be there. So we got tau max is equal to half of sigma C minus sigma L. Instead of sigma L, we will have sigma C minus of minus P, because minus P is indicating the value. It's the internal pressure, and negative, it is negative deformation occurs in that. So the internal pressure is taking in a negative bar, or negative pressure is there, or negative, it is represented in terms of negative instead of external. It is internally, it is trying to burst, so it is under a compression kind of condition. That means the internal pressure is going to create. If the internal pressure is going to create, then this the structure is going to or trying to burst, or it is in a position to burst. If it is in a position to burst, to continue or to maintain the equilibrium, a external reactive force is going to develop. So automatically the internal pressure beam negative in nature. So by utilizing that, we can get this PD by 2T by putting this value, and we are neglecting this P, then we get PD by 4T. Similarly, if the P is neglected, then as compared to sigma C, so we get PD by 40. That means equal value, the tau max value we are getting by only one stress or only circumferential stress. It may give that shear stress is equal to the value of sigma L. Now if I am considering the sigma L value only and P is there, and I will drop the P, then I can get it is what we are getting now. If there is only sigma L is there and no compressive stress or circumferential stress is not there, then it may achieve without considering this value of a P also the maximum shear stress value we got as same as the value for the case of both the stresses are there. So it is within the limit PD by 40 to PD by 80. It varies in between these two. That means from the longitudinal stress to maximum shear stress value, it varies the value of the total shear stress if I'll combine it. So now the further is, if as I just now think that discussed about, instead of this thin cell if I'll take and I'll join, so what is the joining process? The joining may be riveted, may be welded, maybe it's a lap kind of joint. That means one part is lapped over other, one part is lapped over other, or this may too come into the end. These two end you come into in line, then you can put some material at this side and some other side bot joint. During the discussion of shear stress we have discussed about that. So due to this joining, the joining may be a temporary kind or the joining may be a permanent type. If the joining may be a temporary kind, so we need to remove some material of that, either in terms of rivet or in terms of bolted. We have to remove the material. If we are removing the material, then the total structural strength or integrity reduces. So how it affects that? So that's what it has been discussed over here. A riveted boiler cell has been shown. If the efficiency of the joint defined, so if there is a joint, it reduces that. How it is reducing? So that's what it has been shown. Two different part, or if it is going to join, so along this line you will have the hoop stress. It is trying to burst along this line, or along this the ends which has been closed, and that in that direction you will have, or these joint points will be under such kind of stresses, hoop stress and longitudinal stress. Then the values of the actual circumferential and longitudinal stress will be termed to will have one extra term. That means the eta C and eta L will come into the picture. These are extra value will be added to, or it is going to be within the equation of the earlier what we have got. Now this eta C and eta L values, if it is going on decreasing, if these values are going on decreasing, so the sigma C value will increase. So it has to be a higher value. But it is true that it cannot be higher value, because the relation says the eta C is the efficiency of circumferential joint, eta L is the efficiency for the longitudinal joint, and what is joint efficiency eta Z? The strength of jointed plate to the strength of solid plate. So since the strength of the solid plate we know it will be higher in generally, so this value will be less than 1 in the most of the cases. We will have less than 1. If it is less than 1, if I'll just multiply that, then the stress value is going to increase. Or if I'll divide that less than 1 value, it is going to increase this value instead of decreasing that. So if there is a joint in similar kind of situation, then it is going to reduce the structural efficiency. Now if I know the stresses, then what are the strains? Because why I need to know the strains? Because we cannot measure the stresses directly. We always take the help of strain to measure that, and strain is the one way by which we can, if you remember during the discussion of stresses in beam, or beams analysis or the simple bending, we have discussed a point regarding the flitched beam, or when there is a connection between two different, or there is a joining between two different element, there is a mismatch of the stress may create, or mismatch of the distortion. There might be a different distortion, different straining occurs in different component. So if it's so, then like as I just now talked about, like a cylindrical cell I am showing here, it is open from both sides, but it is not closed at the end. In order to have the application, we have to have close at any end or both the ends. If I am closing, then there is a connection or joint will come into the picture. If the connection joints are coming into the picture, just now we talked about the riveted joint. Similarly, it creates some kind of distortion between two different end components or final components. And to measure or to maintain the connectivity more or integrity of the structure, we must understand the strengths as well, because we don't want there is a strain mismatch. So with and without internal pressure, if I'll explain, or if I want to write, we know if the combination of the stress or combination of different load, if you have remember during the discussion of Poisson's ratio and during the discussion of volumetric strain, we have calculated the volumetric strain and the Poisson's ratio by considering all the strains in every direction, by utilizing the Poisson's ratio or by implementing the Poisson's ratio, lateral strain by longitudinal strain, we have found out earlier, and then we joined all together to find out the total strain along in particular direction. Similarly here also we can do, and we can find it out, this PD by 2T into 1 minus 2 nu, if there is a combination will be there. Similarly for the case of sigma epsilon L also, you can calculate PD by 2T into 1 minus 2 by 1 half minus nu. So why we all together doing all these points, will come to that end. For that will come at the end, we will discuss about that, the how this strain and nu is going to help us to understand about the design of a cylindrical cell with a other end kind of stop. Now to finally or to go for a final design, we must understand these are the points. We understand the first we understand what, now what is the definition and how the classification, then what are the stresses, then how to calculate the stresses, then what are the corresponding strain. One geometry we talked about majority here till yet, the cylindrical cell. Now I'll talk about little bit on the spherical cell. The spherical cells, I have already shown this kind of figures. Either you might have this kind of cells, or these are storage tank. This exactly the spherical storage tanks you can have in the earlier those days, when government was subsidizing the people, those who have cow dung gas, they are preparing their biogas, own biogas. These are closed kind of cell structures. Also you can see similar kind of either it is utilized in the biogas farms, or it is utilized to make some kind of, or to store highly inflammable fluids, because it has a higher rigidity than the other cases. Or you can have, in majority the application in the case of particularly cylindrical cells, you have cylindrical cells with hemispherical ends. And I have shown you one figure of your cooking gas. This also two hemispherical ends are joined with each other, or two little bit more deep deep kind of hemispherical shapes, or two similar kind having hemispherical ends has been joined. Two different half has joined to create a whole cylinder. If you have seen, or particularly, and you might have seen a particular line at the transverse direction instead of, or in a longitudinal direction I must say, rather than the ends. Why so? Just a similar kind of another example I have shown here. A compressor, a air compressor I am talking about here. It is looking like a air compressor, and these ends are going to be, these ends are different. If I'll take the whole body as a cylinder, these ends are like hemispherical ends. And these are the most common kind of applications in our day to day life we have seen. they have their own significance. And what is the significance? We'll talk about that. Before going to the significance, we know how to calculate for the case of cylindrical cells. Now in case of hemispherical end, it will have all the stresses are going to develop here along this direction. It is not the circumference, it is nothing but the circumferential stress. And if I'll say about the longitudinal stress and circumferential stress, both are same in all direction. So I can have this, I can calculate this stress like sigma pi dt, because this is applied, this is a force, that means the bursting force into the area and pressure into the projected area. The bursting force into area pi d into t I got, as in the earlier case, in the longitudinal case we got pi dt. Is here also the same thing. If I'll calculate little bit more, I'll get pd by 40. Now you see, longitudinally the stress which is going to be obtained for the case of cylinder is as same as the case of cylindrical hemispherical ends having the longitudinal and the circumferential stress. We got pd by 40. Interestingly, these two values pd by 40 mathematically looking the same. Pd by 40 is the longitudinal stress for the cylindrical cell. Pd by 40 is the circumferential stress for the case of hemispherical end. So these two, if the stresses are same, both the sides the stresses are same, then there is a chance of less chance of mismatch or distortion between the strengths. If the less chance of distortion, then they can be they can be utilized very easily, or they can be combined or conjoined very easily to have a single unit, to work as a single unit and to perform better than other cases. Now to extend a little bit on that, that means I was talking about this T thickness of the end thicknesses, and how the thickness or one parameter is the thickness is going to be play big role over here. So based on that, a relation has been established. That means the Poisson's ratio, the thickness, and the stresses are going to be developed within that, within the structural components like cylinders or spheres, how they are combined with each other, and how could I write, how could we write all this expression in a single form has been discussed over here. Now stress in cylinder, thin cylinder cell with spherical ends, these are most commonly utilized in the case of any industries. Now if I'll see the thickness which we got for the cylindrical part, this is the dotted part which has been shown. This part is the cylindrical part. This part, the whole part is the cylindrical part, and these two end are we are getting the spherical end. The spherical end thickness has been taken as T prime, whereas the spherical end thickness has been taken as T prime, whereas the cylindrical panel thickness has been taken T. Now we know the stresses are going to be developed in longitudinal direction for the cylindrical panel is equal to the stresses are developed or developing in the direction of longitudinal circumferential direction of the spherical panel. Now to before going to that, initially the stresses in cylinder only we are talking about. The stresses in cylinder, sigma c is equal to pd by tt and sigma l is equal to pd by 40, and the strain will be due to this, and due to this we can write there is a combination of the stresses are there, the circumferential stress, and since the longitudinal stress is this much, the strain will be created by the sigma L in the direction of, due to the application of sigma c or due to the development of sigma L in the direction of circumference, how much is the strain, and the strain will occur at nu into sigma L. Now extending furthermore, we get pd by 4t into 2 minus nu. Now for the stresses for the hemispherical section, it is pd by 4t prime, because we have taken t is the t prime. So there is a, if there is a mismatch of the t, you see there must be the mismatch of the t means I am talking about the thickness of the plate which we have made, the thickness of the plate. If I am talking about this paper, the thickness of the plate we are utilized to make the cylinder, and the ends we are going to, it may not be very high or it may not be very less. So what should be the value? There must be some a relation between that, like a B by D ratio, we maintain something for the having a particular or optimal I 0.5 to 0.66. Similarly, here also the care has to be taken regarding this T. Now extending once more, this sigma c will be, since all the stresses will be same for the case of hemispherical end, so we can extend further 1 by e into sigma minus nu sigma. So we got pd by 4t prime into e. Here we got 2 minus nu, here we got 1 minus nu. Now I immediately the t prime has been, I replaced with the t prime with the t. You see pd by 4t prime, what we got here, it has been replaced by pd by 4t prime into is equal to pd by 4 into 7 by 17 into t. Now the t prime is expressed as 7, t prime is equal to, here it has been said that t prime is equal to 7 by 17 into t. From where this 7 by 17 into t has come will be clarified in the next step. So it is converting to the 0.6 pd by t. Earlier we got the sigma c we got 0.5 into pd by t. Now we got the sigma is equal to, or in a hemispherical end we got 0.6 by t. If the relation says, or if the relation between t to t prime in between t prime to t has to be 7 by 17, if it is that within that range, then only we can get, that means it is less than the value of this 0.5 pd by t. Instead of that you will get 0.6 pd by t. So how to evaluate this relation, that has been discussed now. If there is no distortion at the junction we are talking about when the ends are going to be framed on, or during the manufacturing process, if there is no distortion will occur or at the junction of the hemispherical end and the cylindrical cell, then epsilon c, the strain due to the circumferential stress, has to be equal to the strain occurs in the hemispherical end. Now extending once again the same, the values we got. Now we got t prime by t is equal to 1 minus nu by 2 minus nu. Now what about the nu? If I'll talk about nu can be varied for different material. So as the nu changes, the t prime by t will also having their own values. Here for this 7 by 17 it has been utilized, the nu is equal to 0.3, and most of the metallic material varies from 0.25 to 0.33 in between. So accordingly you can frame the t by t prime, and we can design different structures, or we can utilize what is the most common kind of structures are utilized in the industry. Based on that we can conclude in this form. Hence it can be concluded that the thickness parameter has to be set for different shapes of panels to hold the desired internal pressure and stress values according to your necessity. So what we understand now? Now we understand that the thin cylinders, the name suggests the thin cylinders based on some parameters. One is the thickness parameter, and that thickness parameter creates lot of condition, or gives us different mobility to make different design, or when two different sections or one or more different geometries are in combination to work for a particular job, to complete a particular kind of application, then the thickness plays a big role, and thickness is the main theme for the case of the finding out the cylinder. That's why the name thin cylinders and spheres are more important, because we saw if I am changing the thickness, I am going to change many kind of, I can get different solution for different material, different shapes with different pressure. So by saying this much, I am closing my discussion over here, and